it. It's now time for the big story. And the focus that we're looking at this morning is the fact that there have been no electoral boundaries for Portmore in the upcoming election. And we're joined by my brother and friend, Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southern, Fitz Jackson, who is my guest live at this time. Morning, Fitz. Happy holidays. How are you doing?
Morning to you and your listeners also.
Yes, sir. We were talking off the air as to my reason for working this morning, and I think you said it. You said it perfectly. One of the main reasons is that we really love what we do, and it's the same reason, I suspect, why you are in fact a multi-term member of Parliament over there in St. Catherine Southern.
Very much. Never one day during the period I've ever had a second thought or regret.
Yes,
and I do enjoy what I do, and I enjoy serving the people that I serve in my constituency
and the wider Jamaica, definitely so. Now, we're focusing this morning on this no electoral boundaries matter as it relates to Portmore.
Yes.
What do you want to start off by telling me on this, Fitz?
Well, the background, we know that the government is pushing ahead with this ill-conceived notion of creating a parish on the pretext that it is for the development of Portmore, which, by its own pronouncements, is an insult to the intelligence of, first, the people of Portmore and Jamaicans and people in general. Why do I say that? I look at Jamaica. There are many places across Jamaica that are crying out for many developmental activities, whether it is for roads, whether it is for employment, whether it's for health, whether it's for security, all of these right across the country that are already parish. But for some, we know Mr. Warmington told us the real intent, that if Portmore become a parish, heaven will appear. It will become instantly heaven. We know from Mr. Warmington it's all about creating a political advantage, gerrymandering the political boundaries for the benefit of the GLP. And that is why the PNP and many well-thinking Jamaicans have resisted it, and we made the point that the parish notion is just a red herring. Now, what happened in Parliament on Wednesday at the the Constituency Boundaries Committee, prior to that, on April 1st, a meeting of the said committee was held where the compliance with the court order issued by Chief Justice Sykes a couple of weeks before, which requires that for the new parish being promulgated of Portmore, which we had brought to the court's attention, would breach the Constitution, in that you'll have two constituencies straddling two parishes. And that is an explicit, as lawyers will say, prima facie case in the breach of the Constitution. In light of that obvious breach, which the government never spoke to before until we brought it to court, we in fact wrote them formally and tell them that if they proceed, it would be a breach. They ignored our letter. But go further. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, no less a body than them, wrote the ministry, stroke the minister, to so highlight that consequential breach if the act should be brought into force. They ignored it. They went ahead and passed the bill in the lower house. They went ahead and passed it in the upper house of the Senate. They went ahead and seek the GG's assent to it. They went ahead and gazetted that act for it to become law. One last step was left for it to become law, and that is for the appointed date for the act to come into force by the minister. It was at that moment that the court stepped in and said, go no further. Don't go no further to bring this act into force, into action, because it would breach the Constitution. give an unequivocal undertaking that you will make the act compliant with the Constitution. And that's what the last court order was about, in short. In light of that, the committee advised the ECJ formally in its meeting and provided the written documentation of the act that was passed, etc., and asked them now to go and fix the boundaries in compliance with Section 26. That task was started and as of April 1st by the committee.
Okay.
The committee, behind the backs of the opposition, convened, well, at that first meeting, the committee agreed to meet no later than the 31st of May for an update on the process that they will be going through, or would have started by then, to make the act that was passed compliant with the law, with the Constitution, so it can be brought into force. So they came on Wednesday, and the director of elections, Mr. Gaspar Brown, was very thorough in setting out the processes and the steps to be taken that will cause the constituency boundaries to come into compliance with the provisions of the Constitution. Now, those processes involve a lot of field work because of how extensive it is. And how extensive it is. One, for it to become an active parish and not in breach of the Constitution, the Electoral Commission of Jamaica would have to deal with impositions, if I might say so, or consequential impact on 4 constituencies, 2 currently in the Portmore side and 2 outside of Portmore. In addition to making consequential adjustments to the boundaries for those 4 constituencies, there are 13 parish council divisions that will be affected that would need to be consequently adjusted also. 13 divisions in the new parish to be created of Portmore and in the new parish of St. Catherine. And this was a surprise, it seemed, to some of the persons there. And the director made it clear. It's not just St. Catherine as we know it. St. Catherine is become parish because Portmore was a part of it.
Yes.
So it is now being reconfigured to become a new St. Catherine. That has to be gazetted, the new parish of St. Catherine, together with the new parish of Portmore, which would have been occurred from the bill and the boundaries set out in it. But all the other 2 constituencies in the new St. Catherine and those divisions in it, and together with those in Portmore, amounts to 13. But 398 polling divisions that would have to be reconfigured in terms of new boundaries for them, renumbered within new constituencies within that parish in St. Catherine. On the other side, the 3 constituencies in the new proposed parish of Portmore will have to be readjusted because the numbers are no longer the same. And you have to distribute it.
So Fitz, with all that you have said, and you have given us a great amount of detail, if the JLP had planned to have some kind of an advantage going into the elections, it seems rather unlikely at this time that this will be achieved by the time the elections are announced.
Practically speaking,
yes.
It is virtually impossible.
Virtually impossible.
Yeah.
Because what kind of timeline are you putting on all of these things to be completed?
Well, I saw from earlier correspondence between the ECJ and the ministry, I think there's some email exchanges. They said it would take them over a year.
Okay. Over a year.
You see, the truth be told, Richie B. This is not new. For myself, speaking for myself, I have had 3 constituency boundary alignment during my tenure in Parliament, where the boundaries had to be changed because of significant population shift. And the numbers of the voters list would make the constituency in breach of the constitutional limit. And so the EOJ have had to make those kinds of adjustments 3 times. So I know, and those who have been involved in the process know that it's a tedious and long exercise.
Nothing that can be rushed. So
nothing that can be rushed if it is done professionally.
Will the PNP advocate for any changes to the electoral boundary process at all at this stage? Are you seeing any?
Well, if it don't break, don't fix it. We have never had a problem with it before now. In fact, we're not having any problem with the process. The Jamaica Labour Party is having a problem with it because it's not fulfilling what Mr. Warmington said they want to achieve, which is to gerrymander the boundaries for him to create a strong JLP seat. He made that clear. You don't have to rely on me for that. His utterances on behalf of the government was clear. And I said on behalf of the government deliberately. Why? Because when he made that statement in November 2023, neither the Prime Minister nor any other member of the government have either sought to distance themselves or to condemn it. They didn't. He spoke for them as a senior cabinet member at the time. But this whole parish thing, to show how ill-conceived and how notorious it is. You ever hear talk about karma? What happened, is that they sought to go the parish route to establish the political boundary unilaterally and to establish the boundary that they want. Again, the exact word of Mr. Warmington, to create the boundaries that they wanted so that they can avoid the ECJ. Now, after all they have gone through, they bump into the ECJ again in order to bring that into effect.
As far as the ECJ is concerned, will the People's National Party support the efforts to establish these new constituencies, the new constituency over there?
Richie, since the creation of the Electoral Advisory Commission at first in 1979 and its subsequent creature or recreation, the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, the People's National Party has always, and I say always in bold capital letters, have always respected the ECJ and its action. May I say that the Jamaica Labour Party, prior to this administration, current administration, has always respected it too. It is for those reasons, and the evidence is there, why we never had any issue with the ECJ work, because there's a mechanism built into the ECJ structure to deal with differences between both parties. Both parties. There is a built-in structure. It's that built-in structure that the JLP under this current leadership has been seeking to circumvent and to compromise and undermine our democracy. Because Jamaica must never be lost on the fact that since 1980, no election result has ever been contested by either party. Even when a losing party lost by 1 seat. In the case of the People's National Party in 2007. 1 seat.
Yeah. Fitz.
And we had acquired transfer of power to the duly elected new government. And then you hear pronouncement from a senior cabinet member, Desmond McKenzie, that they will not surrender the government to the People's National Party.
Let me ask you one final thing on a slightly different note, but still within the context.
Sure.
Many people are of the view that the elections are now imminent. Is the PNP ready?
We have been ready and we're asking for it. If the Prime Minister announces it today, we are ready. If he announces it next week, we are ready. If he announces it next month, we are ready. We are pleading to him to call it and call it now.
Call it, all right, Fitz. We're out of time, but thank you so very much. Enjoy the Easter season and all the best going forward. One love, my brother.
Your family and all your listeners.
Thank
all
you.
The very best.
All the best to you.